Hi, I'm Dan Lagani with Silver Solutions, and welcome to this edition of AgeWise, the show designed to make you a little smarter about the things that you need to know as your loved ones or yourself grow older. Today, we open a new chapter in AgeWise and start to speak to real people. What I mean by that is not just industry experts, but the people that are going through the process of helping an older parent. And our first guest I'm so excited to have on the show today is Dina Lohan. You may know Dina as the mother of Lindsey Lohan. You may also know Dina as an actress in her own right in Living Lohan. And these days, she's got a brand new podcast called Listen to Me, the real OG Mama D. Dina Lohan, welcome to AgeWise.
Hi, how are you? It's nice to meet you.
Likewise, and thanks so much for joining us. One of the things that I'm so excited to have you on today is a lot of the other roles that we talked about, the world knows, but one of the most relevant connections for us here at AgeWise is you're the daughter of a mom that turned 97 yesterday. Tell us a little bit about your mom.
Oh, gosh. My parents, I lost my father, God rest his soul, about 15 years ago. They were married 51 years, and my mother just turned 97. She's a rock star. She's so smart. My best friends, my children's best grandma friends, we're all so close to her. I'm a single mom, so I raised them alone. I actually lived with my parents for a time after my divorce. So we're like very, very close family. So yesterday I had my son and his wife, who's pregnant, is coming in. They came in from Manhattan and came out to my mother on Long Island. And we just had a social distance, small celebration, what we could, with masks, of course. And it was wonderful. And she's just an amazing person. She's just the light of my life.
What a terrific opportunity for you guys to all get together. And yes, COVID has gotten in our way, but it's nice when you hear people that are able to work around it, like so many of us have had to figure out. Let's take the experience back a little bit. Where did you grow up? What was the experience? Because I want to contrast it from being daughter to these days as caregiver. Where did you guys grow up?
I was born in the Bronx, and I have three older brothers, and we moved out to Long Island when I was just 3. So I've lived on Long Island my entire life. Actually, I lived in the same town when I got divorced. Myself and my 4 children moved to Merrick, built a house a stone's throw away from my mom's. So I'm very close. I'm the sole provider for her. One of my brothers has since gotten divorced, so he lives with her, but he works. And I can work from home, and I'm in the entertainment field, so I'm a lot more flexible. So I'm constantly at my mom's. And when my dad was ill in the past, I took care of him as well.
Well, you're making such a great point in that you're fortunate because you've got extended family around your mom. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. What are some of the things, though, that you've learned through the experiences with either your dad originally and your mom now, that you can lend to some other folks that are working with a parent as a caregiver that's getting older and may not be as experienced as you?
I think the main thing I tell my friends, because they're taking care of their parents, patience. You know, my brothers are funny, but one of my brothers, they still talk to her like she's 70, which is young nowadays. And I'm like, you have to, they're like, Mom, I just told you that. I said, guys, you got to just chill. You know, that she's 97. I can say 97 now. And it's so important to just have patience. And it's frustrating. You know, we're all in our busy lives, and, you know, we feel like, you know, everything's now. And, you know, it's hard for, you know, then with the political situation in the world and watching the news, there's a fear. And, you know, my mom's very fearful of a lot of things that I think you just have to be patient.
You know, I think about the conversation in terms of the different stages that people go through. And one of the things that I'd love to hear your perspective on, when did you go from daughter to caregiver, which in many respects moves you into being the role of really a parent to your parent? When was that, and how was that transition for you?
Oh, gosh. Well, actually, it was very early on when I was in high school, because my grandfather lived with us. on my mom's side, my mom's father. So he always called me a capitalist because he would always be like, Annie, turn this on, make this. And he's very Italian. And I was like, Grandpa, don't talk to her like that. So we had this like camaraderie. So I learned early on, I drove him to his doctor's appointments once I got my license with my mom, because my mom doesn't have a license. She never got a license. She just opted out. And so I learned then to be very patient, and I learned so much from the elderly. I used to go with my friends in high school to visit my grandfather. He lived a town called Babylon on Long Island. And I used to go there with my friends to his friends. And they'd give us cappuccino and espresso, and we'd literally fly back to school having Italian coffee. And so I learned that I would listen to their stories. I think it's so important. And so I was so well educated from their stories and what they had to go through and how it was so different. I mean, my grandfather said there were horse and buggies in their town, and we've come so far that my mother's like on a laptop, it's like crazy. So I've learned a lot by, like I said, by listening, and learning from them.
We joked a little bit about this before we came on to do the interview. But are you playing the role for your mom of helping her with technology? My mom's 86, and we've divided up the technology roles in the family. I help her with an iPhone. My brother's responsible for computer. How does that go in your family?
Absolutely, exactly the same. My brothers, we switch on and off because my brother, he lives there, so he's there at night, but not really in the day. So she's a wit though. She's smart. Like I'll call her and she'll tell me about social media, what's going on in the political world. Like she's so, thank God she doesn't have dementia or anything like that, which is so sad. One of my sister-in-law, actually, her father passed away of dementia. And that was heartbreaking to watch. We're fortunate that she's still smart as a whip.
Isolation's an issue for older adults in general. COVID has made that so much more difficult. The good news sounds like you guys still live relatively close to each other, but have you used Zoom? Have you been able to connect via FaceTime or other technology to keep people involved in her life despite the pandemic?
Yes, we've FaceTimed. And I talk to my mom, oh gosh, some days it could be 7 times a day. Like first in the morning I call, or she calls me, she tells me Joel Osteen's on channel blah, 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 and I'll have to turn on. And then an old movie's on and you have to see it with Fred Astaire. So we're always in constant communication. Basically with COVID, we wear masks. I don't go over as much, obviously. When my brother goes to work, because he works, I stay home. I'm really not out much. She usually would come to my house all day. But now I'm going there and I wait till he goes, so we're not interacting. And my mom wears her mask and I just spray everything down. My brother is very cautious as well. So it's lonely for her because she has her book club and her prayer group she would go to, and she goes to church. And she can't do any of that.
Most of the world knows that you're Lindsay's mom, but you have other children. Tell us about the whole family. What's this whole generation that you're responsible for bringing up?
I've been a single mother forever. So I call us the Fabulous Five. I have 4 children. Lindsay's the oldest, and there's Michael, my son, who's married, and his wife's pregnant during COVID, and they had COVID during this. Thank God they're okay. And then Aliana, who's a Christian singer, and Dakota, my younger guy, is an actor, performer as well. So it's been different for them because a lot of my younger son's friends graduated from college and there's no jobs. Like they're sending out resumes, they couldn't go into offices. So it's been very depressing for that generation. It's sad to see. I'm in the entertainment. I started my podcast through COVID. I was so bored. I was like, I have to do something.
Did I get the podcast right at the beginning? It's Listen to Me, the OG Mama D. Is that it?
Mama D. Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
But that name came from all of Lindsay's friends, all my children's friends. But in the day, it started where we had a driver, Jazz, and he used to call me, hey, Mama D, where do I go? Where do I drive? And I'm still friends with him till this day. He's an angel. He's very successful now. And all Lindsay's friends always called me Mama D. So it just, this young assistant who's now 36 said, you should be the OG Mom and D. And I was like, okay, OG. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I can do it. So there you have it. And we're on Spotify and iTunes, Spotify, and soon to be iHeartRadio. So
Good. I was going to ask you where we could subscribe to it. I happened to listen to the episode that you did, I guess, right before the holidays with Lindsay, and I wasn't aware that she's been living overseas. So where are you? You've got 4 kids. Where is everybody? Who's with you? Who's in other spots of the world? 2
are living with me, Aliana and Dakota. Michael's with his wife in Manhattan, and Lindsay's in Dubai, but we talk probably more than, or if not as much as my mother. And she calls my mother and she picks up any hour because Lindsay sometimes forgets it's 9 hours. So my mom's like, don't worry, just call me. And my mother's phone is still connected to the wall. So she literally gets out of bed to answer. She doesn't want a cordless. I'm like, Mom, you could just chill and sit. So she's opting now for a cell phone.
What's the state of COVID in Dubai? How are they doing? Are they shut down as well, or what's everybody what's everybody doing there?
Well, Aliana was stuck in Dubai for 5 months because of COVID. You weren't allowed out of the country. Dakota was stuck in LA because he was working on a project. He's a model with IMG as well, and he was stuck in LA. He couldn't come home. So it was I was home alone with dog sitting, basically. So Dubai is, when it first hit there, they actually had drones flying with spraying antibacterial spray all over the streets in the city. They had trucks, they had cleaning the streets. It's really pretty amazing.
My company works to help take care of the home-related issues for families as their parents grow older, whether it's keeping a home so that it's suitable for a mom or a dad that's aging in place, or we can do a transition into a downsized home or into assisted living. But one of the things that we see so often in families where there are siblings are the roles that the sons play versus the daughters tend to go almost stereotypically into. The sons seem to be more involved in the financial aspect of things, but it's really the daughters that seem to take the lead. Is that the way it is in your family, or are things more evenly divided?
I think it's evenly divided. I'm very close with my brothers, so we kind of just work together, and I'm the one, though, that makes the phone calls and does all the, in the trenches, should I say, kind of work. Like I said, they kind of still think she's a little spring chicken, and I'm like, no, hello, and my mom still kind of thinks they're her boys. Oh, Matthew will get mad if I'm, she cooks them dinner. It's like, I'm like, Mom, they could do this themselves. It's kind of funny, actually, but it kind of keeps her younger, I think, that she has things to do. So, when she's here with me, I cook, I do everything. And she's like, oh, it's nice to be catered to, but I'm like, that's what daughters do. I feel they should do. I think it's so important. They've raised us into these beautiful human beings, and it's just our turn now.
Speaking of our turn, when the day comes, and you've got a long way to go, but when the day comes that you're 97, what role do you want your kids to play for you?
They better be there. No, they aren't. My kids will totally be there. All of them, 4 of them. I know that. But I always say, they're like, don't be mean to me. I won't be able to take care of you as much when my sons. Kibitz, but yeah, it's going to be fine. I know they'll be there.
Back to one of the things we talked about earlier. Whether you're talking to a friend or you were on your podcast, what are the 2 or 3 things that, in addition to patience, which you talked about, that you think everybody with a parent who's growing older should keep in mind so that they're creating the best life for mom or dad?
I think I'm going to give you an example. One of my best friends from high school doesn't live with her mom, and they're in different states, and her sister takes care of the mom, and the sister kind of keeps the other sister guarded and is like too in control, kind of control freakish. And I think that's not helping either your mother or your sibling relationship. I think you have to be very open and honest. And, if especially financial, if there was a loan given to a sibling and not to the other, I think it should be discussed. I think everyone should be on, I don't want to say will, but, involved in every aspect of coming to the end of their journey on this earth, but so I think that's important. I think when one sibling tries to say, well, I did this, I'm doing this, don't be angry. Just be thankful that someone's doing something.
It's an unfortunate thing, but the family dynamic is really profound in a lot of cases. And we just did actually, it was an interesting national survey looking at even things like who's making the decisions? Is it the adult children or is it mom or dad? And one of the things that blew me away was when we asked the question of two different groups of older adults, they said only 3% of the times were their children making all the decisions on behalf of them. And when we asked that same question of the children, they said 73% of the time they were making the decision themselves. So the family dynamic is real, and you're smart to be aware of it.
That's a very valid point because, my mom, you don't want the parent to feel like they're already gone. It's a slippery slope. You want to clean up the house and she's like, I want to get things. She's giving jewelry of my dad's and Army medals to my sons and things slowly. You have to let them clear the clutter because so many kids come in and want to just bang it out and do everything. And they feel like, my mother said when my brother tried, well, I'm not dead yet. You know what I mean? As harsh as that sounds, that's what they're feeling like. So you really have to be sympathetic to your parent because they were sympathetic to you when you scraped your knee, and you just have payback. It's payback time.
Well, so well said. Dina Lohan, successful mom, media host, and clearly a great daughter. Thanks so much for joining us on AgeWise today and for making us smarter and better prepared. Just remind me here, the podcast, Listen to Me, the OG Mama D, available on all the platforms?
I'm on all social platforms as well. Instagram, I'm Dina Lohan Verified. Thank you for having this because it's so important for the children of elderly to get advice from you and listen to this because it's well needed, especially now with this chaos. And, I think it's really, really important to answer the operative questions. I wish I had my mother's list. I'll come back with her, hopefully. And, but she has a list of questions. She said, ask them this, and this morning. I was like, Mom, I there's so many questions you're asking me, but I'll ask, I promise. So AARP.
Well, here's what I'll guarantee you. You and your mom are both welcome back. In fact, it would be a terrific show to have you both on. So let's plan on doing that. And really, my treat, my pleasure today to spend time with you. Dina Lohan, thanks so much for joining us. If you like this episode of AgeWise, please share it with a friend, share it on your social platforms. And if you want to get other editions of AgeWise, just go to our website, silversolutions.com, and click the video tab. For all of us here at Silver Solutions that work hard every day to keep you and your parents safe as they grow older, wherever they live, I'm Dan Lagani. Be safe and stay wise.
And call your parents.